Senator Reed, I'm Stan Anderson. I'll continue that with a few questions about millage rates.
Yes, sir.
As a candidate for the office of mayor, campaigning out when you meet folks on the street and asking for their vote, what do you say are the reasons for the recent millage rate increase?
I don't say what the reasons are, to be candid, because I didn't support it. I thought that the 3 mil increase in this environment at this time was too high. I am gravely concerned about Atlantans moving out of the city. You have had a devastating collapse in the financial markets. Many of Atlanta's poorest and most affluent individuals certainly have the opportunity to leave. You have surrounding jurisdictions such as Cobb that have much more favorable tax structures, including waiving education taxes for senior citizens. So I don't think the 3 mil approach was appropriate. And I tell people that when I'm moving around the city. I tell them that I think that 1 mil was appropriate. I have been on record for some time. 1 mil in Atlanta is between $18 and $20 million. That amount of money would have ended furloughs for police and firefighters in our city. I felt that that was essential. That was something that I was willing to fight for. The other 2 mils, I do not believe were required. I will also share with you that I have a deep fear that now that we've had a 3 mil tax increase, that if we have a difficult budget next year, which we very well may have, then what are you going to do? I mean, if you've gone up and had a 42% tax increase, what do you say if we continue to have a significant economic downturn? Let me be even more candid. This week, I met with 2 investment groups that are significant holders of large buildings in Atlanta. And what they shared with me is the value of their buildings, they believe, are down by as much as a third. Well, under state law, they now have the ability to challenge the local jurisdiction regarding its tax bill in a robust way. So you're going to have well-funded entities challenging the value of their tax bill, not just on residential properties, but on large commercial structures, which suggests to me that we're going to be in a posture where we may very well be facing another significant shortfall. And you will have just raised taxes by 42%. So I don't think you left yourself any room on the dance floor.
Well, if you can't fund it through property tax increases, how will you fund the government of the city of Atlanta?
Well, I think that you have to fund it by running it well and make sure that the municipal government is the right size. I'll give you a specific example. The city of Atlanta in 2002 had 4,900 employees. In 2003, it had about 4,557 employees. But in 2007 and 2008, the city of Atlanta had more than 6,000 employees. So when you look at it, the budget deficit came about because of the 01 vote and the 05 vote for the pension crisis, and we were adding employees at between 300 and 500 employees a year. Ask me how many employees the city of Atlanta had in 09. 4,500. So if you're saying, how am I going to pay for government? One, I'm not going to grow the workforce of the city of Atlanta the way that it was done repeatedly by 200, 300, 400 employees between 02 and 09. That's number one. The second thing I'm going to do is to collect the revenue that is owed the city of Atlanta today. The city of Atlanta does not do a good job of collecting valid debt. I'm not talking about aged receivables, 120-day receivables, I'm talking about 30-day, 60-day, 90-day valid receivables. We recently put an RFP on the street to consider partnering with a private partner so that we can do a better job of collecting the money that we have. Now, it is my understanding from those discussions that that amount of money is somewhere between $25 million and $40 million in receivables that we're not doing a good job of collecting. Well, in a budget of $541 million, $25 million and $40 million to me is real money. So let's say that we don't collect $25 million, but we do collect $15 million or $20 million. I think that that can help me avoid having to raise taxes again. The other thing that Atlanta does is Atlanta has too much non-public safety overtime. It has been a challenge year in and year out. Well, I will do whatever it takes to make sure that the citizens of Atlanta do not have to suffer a tax increase because we have an overtime bill that runs into the millions of dollars on an annual basis. So my straight answer to your question, sir, is that I will not raise taxes, that I clearly see a way to generate significant revenue, meaning between 5 and 10% of the amount of money that we're collecting in our general fund right now, without putting an additional burden on the citizens of Atlanta.
Thank you. If you're not going to raise the taxes, let's assume that you operate the city, if you're elected mayor, on a break-even basis for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
As mayor over the next 2 to 4 years, do you think you can lower the taxes? And if you think you can, or the millage rate, if you think you can, how will you do that?
That would not be my approach, because I believe that that's a failed approach. We just ran that experiment. The city of Atlanta cut even when property values were increasing, the city of Atlanta was going in and cutting the taxes even after increased evaluations, which is one of the reasons that you had a 3 mil tax increase. What I will tell you is this: I am going to secure this city. I do not believe that Atlanta has enough firefighters, and I do not believe that Atlanta has enough police officers to protect a city that's added 100,000 officers. I'm going to be honest and upfront with the public and tell them exactly what I'm going to do. I am going to redirect the revenue from the 3 mil increase and focus it primarily on public safety, adding police officers and firefighters, paying them better, and addressing the problems that I think are contributing to the change in the nature of crime in our city. And I've been running for mayor for 13 months. I've been saying the very same thing, and I say it wherever I go, and I'm saying it to the campaign for Atlanta today, that what I am going to do is to use those dollars to make Atlanta the safest major city in the southeastern United States. But I do not believe this role of cutting taxes repeatedly is the right path. But I will make this commitment: I will not raise taxes unless I have to pay for for police and firefighters. I will not furlough police and firefighters for any reason. But I'll do it in the light of day, and I'll do it by telling the public what I'm going to do. I will not do it for any other reason.
The next topic that we'll be discussing will be government efficiency.
Yes, sir.
Do efficient governments have lower millage rates than inefficient governments, in your opinion?
No, I think it depends upon the city and the nature of the city. I mean, different cities have different rhythms. Our peer cities are Charlotte, Portland, Oregon, Denver. I think different cities offer different levels of service. I do believe they're good benchmarks to look at to determine the level of performance, but I don't think you serve your city well by attempting to be lockstep with other cities, but you have to watch them to make sure that you remain competitive. The city that keeps me up at night is Charlotte, North Carolina. So I am constantly looking at what Charlotte does, and I will tell you that right now Charlotte is outperforming Atlanta on almost every significant benchmark. So they're performing Atlanta in terms of the amount. We do better than Charlotte in terms of the millage rate, but in terms of other variables, they're outperforming us. So that worries me.
With the higher millage rates that we have today, and the potential maybe for higher millage rates in the future with
Yes, sir.
declining property values,
Mm-hmm.
what other sources of income do you think the city can have other than that combination of millage rate and assessed values, or like sales tax, for example?
Well, in all honesty, I have not made a judgment about other sources until we collect the money that is owed us, until we fix the things that are internal to the city, before we go out and start having conversations about how we're going to raise additional revenue. What I do know is that some people may believe that the city of Atlanta's government is the right size at 4,500 employees. If you believe that that's the case, you and I disagree.